Warning: the following video may have language that some viewers may find offensive, and others are already offended. Viewer discretion is advised, but not really. No animals were hurt in the making of this 4-hour feature film.
Today we have a very important topic that we want to talk about, senior scams. Now we've all seen in the press lately how this has been on the rise, and what can we do to take care, look after our loved ones? These things are horrible, and if you have a loved one that's been affected by a scam, can you get your money back? What can be done? Who do you report it to? I'm sure there's probably lots of scams that have happened that aren't reported because they're just too embarrassed maybe to talk about it. So today we're going to find out some answers for you. In our little studio here, we have St. Thomas Police Service and we have the Elgin O.P.P. So from St. Thomas, we have Constable Tammy Voth, who is a community resource officer. And for Elgin O.P.P., we have Constable Brett Fair. And he is also a community resource officer. So we're going to put them to the test today and get some information out of these fine folks here. So thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. This is a pretty heavy topic. I'm sure for families that have been affected, this is scary. This could really ruin, somebody that, especially on major money side scams. So I think we'll talk a little bit about different scams, what's out there, what's affecting this area. And we'll kind of get into a little bit about, what can be done. Is there something can be done? Can you get your money back? Is it gone? Is there help out there for, say an 85-year-old person that just lost $50,000, $60,000? What happens? So anyway, yeah, thanks. So let's get into it. So what are the most common types of scams right now in our area that are targeting seniors?
The CRA scam is something that's been around for a long time. Any type of text scams, emails, text messages, stuff like that, saying package can't be delivered, or virus protection software. The Grandparent scam is big in our area. There's romance scams and the occasional lottery scam.
So do you find... I don't know about the romance scam so much, but I've seen, and I've got them all the time, Canada Post, or, something can't be delivered. The one I like is I get one from TD Bank or something, and I was like, yeah, right, I don't even have an account. So automatically. But some of those other ones, are they kind of what's really targeting our area right now, or is it just, it's everything?
Those are the most prevalent, the ones I just mentioned.
Yeah.
We have had quite a few grandparent scams in our area, probably Elgin area as well.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the text scams that we speak of, the messages, delivery notices, your package can't be delivered, the bank refunds from Fido or TELUS or Bell, claim your refund and they want account details. Those are also very big.
Okay, and now if we talk about grandparent scams, so we say maybe it's more prevalent in the county. Go through a little bit about it, Brett, about what's involved with that. What happens when that person is first contacted? What are they being told on the phone?
So for grandparent scams, sometimes that's the common term that we hear all the time, typically as it targets seniors, but they're also like emergency type scams, right? So generally what will happen is they'll be presented with some type of emergency, and the individual, specifically for a grandparent scam, will be claiming that they're the grandchild of the individual that they're trying to call. So it's trying to target a senior. So that emergency could be they've been arrested, they need money for bail. Could be they've been in a car accident across the border where they need to pay for medical expenses. Could be that they are away on a trip and lost their passport, they need money, so they'll be presented with some type of emergency. And then the scammer will try to convince the person that's on the potential victim that they are their loved one and that they need money to address this emergency, what it is.
So are they hoping on the scammer side, are they really just hoping that they have somebody that maybe has Alzheimer's, dementia, doesn't recognize the voice? Or do they actually know the family member, like the name that they're targeting?
Well, I would say obviously there's no cookie cutter like response because everything will vary slightly, but it's certainly not only targeting people that are, say, have some kind of cognitive issue. It's there's a few issues that we have presented to us nowadays as far as with the advance of technical social media and stuff like that. We do volunteer a bunch of information out, so there is a possibility that they glean that information from social media platforms, to keep up with the information that they're providing as the victim. There's also we volunteer a ton of information when we're talking to people on the phone. So they might say something as simple as like, "Hey, it's your grandson," and then the caller, the potential victim, might respond like, "Oh, John, is that you?" And then what they've just done is they've just given the name of the grandson, so they can and now that starts to establish that legitimacy to the caller. So scammers, especially in this scenario, they play on a few different things. They try to play on the emotions, so just your innate, you want to help your loved ones or the people that you care about, so they're trying to play on that emotion that you want to assist them, and it often is a time factor. That emergency is, if you don't do this now, your loved one will, be arrested, they'll be deported, they're going to suffer some kind of tragedy, and then so now they're trying to make you make a quick decision without doing the normal checks and balances that you would before parting with a sum of money, right?
Indicators. So for family members right now, and say they think they're having some suspicion something's going on, what are some of the indicators right now that a family member could, look at their elderly parent or grandparent to realize that maybe a scam is starting to take place? Do you know of anything that somebody should be looking for?
Just like what Brett said, he said emergencies. So if they make it seem like an emergency, that could be an indicator. If they make it seem like, or if they're requesting odd forms of payment, like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or gift cards, if they're requesting stuff like that, that's likely a scam. If it's something that's too good to be true, it's likely a scam. If they're making threats or pressure to make a quick decision, those are all indicators of scams.
Okay. I see gift cards. That's a big one. And I have been seeing some stories where employees have been getting training from their employers on if somebody was to come in, an elderly person, and they're trying to buy $500 or $1,000 in gift cards, how to, question them about it or whatever. So are you seeing any of that coming out more, that employers are trying to train employees now on this kind of thing?
I recently posted about 100 flyers or posters at every single location in the St. Thomas area selling gift cards. And I went there, provided education on what's happening, and sometimes what they're being told by the people that are falling victim to these scams, the people on the phone are telling them that they're lying, that they're not telling you the truth, to go ahead, or tell them that it's for your nephew's wedding, or tell them, come up with some sort of lie about it to try to proceed with the purchase. But now with these flyers that I've put out at every single location, they can also point to, say, hey, did you read this? I think you should contact the police. The police are telling you that no legitimate business organization will accept payments in the form of gift cards. So that information's out there. People just have to read it.
Okay, so it's a senior is being targeted right now. What should they do? What steps should they take if they're being targeted?
So a big red flag for what they can do is first the form of contact that conversation initiated with. So if it's an unsolicited text message, phone call, message, or something like that should raise a red flag. Because whether it's an emergency scam, certainly if it's say your bank or something of that nature that's trying to call you, if it's an unsolicited contact, then meaning that they didn't initiate the call to the bank, you want to be very protective of your information at that point. It'd be normal if you called TD and were trying to access your bank account. they would ask you the verifying questions, what's your address, name, how many accounts you have with us, those things. When you call, you're the one that initiated that call, that's fine. But if it's unsolicited, you don't want to give any of that information up.
So if a senior was getting called and say he had suspicions and hang up, a lot of them don't want to hang up because maybe they're scared that it was a legit call, and if they hang up, something bad's going to happen. Their account gets put on hold or something like that. So maybe the fear part of it makes them not want to hang up. But that's probably their best resource, is just hang up.
Yeah, and just like what Brett was saying, is if it's unsolicited, hang up and call them back. You can make that call back, so you're calling your actual branch saying, hey, did you contact me asking me for this information? And when they say no, then you know that wasn't legitimate.
Good point.
Yeah.
And most banking institutions or other agencies that would be contacting, whether it's the Canada Revenue Agency, whatever it would be, even if it's the police that's calling you, they encourage, because there's so much money being lost through fraud, is to do those verification steps. So that the pressure that they're putting on, that a scammer would be putting on, to make the caller or the person, the victim, feel that pressure and not want to hang up, is something that is unique to a scam, because most agencies want to protect their clients or the people that they're serving from fraud. So they would encourage them to hang up and call back through a verified number that they find themselves. Don't use a number that is provided to you by that caller or the potential scammer, because then they could just be giving you the phone number to get back to them. So we'll use BMO that's calling you as an example. If they are presenting as BMO, you hang up, look up a number for BMO yourself, whether it's from your banking records or your online banking platform, whatever you have access to verify it's the correct one.
Something that just popped into my head as we were talking about this. Have you noticed, I don't know what the correct word would be, but an increase since AI has come out, and there's voice recognition and different things that, have you noticed any of that starting to come up a little bit, where the person is saying, I absolutely thought it sounded just like my grandson or whatever, but yet it's AI. Has that hit this area at all yet?
I haven't heard anything here with AI.
It'd be difficult to say specifically whether whether the scammer was utilizing those tools, but it's something to certainly be aware of. As technology advances, AI and any other means, right? Even the advancements of any technology, anything that has the potential for good, it also has that same potential in the wrong hands to be used, for negative stuff such as fraud. So the technology's out there. We know that it's getting better, as with any other technology. So it's something to be aware of and just keep in mind.
I guess for us younger and we're more aware of it, it's easier for us to see it. But the scammers always seem to be 2 steps ahead of us. No matter what by the time we recognize what's happening, they've already got their next step where they're going to go to. So when this is shut down, they can go to something else. So on a reporting level, so say grandma or my mom, and actually my mom is 95, and my brother, thank God, caught a scam that was happening to her. How do they report it? I know probably some don't report it because they're just so embarrassed or they're scared. What steps should someone do if they've been taken for whatever amount of money?
So the first place to start is with your local police service. So whether that's St. Thomas Police Service, Elgin County O.P.P, or whichever area that you live in, you're going to report it to them. Even potential or attempts at fraud that bells have gone off and you've stopped and realized it, you want to report those as well. If there's no monetary loss, the local police service may not be able to do anything, but it's important for us to be made aware of scams that are going on in the area. And then, of course, we should report it to, or the individual should report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center as well. They collect all the data of frauds that are going on, both ones that people that have been victimized or attempts, and that information is then disseminated around to make all areas aware of trends that are coming and new things that are happening to protect people.
Current scams, then, most of these, I would take it, are coming from out of country.
Yeah. A lot of our investigative leads end overseas. We can follow things, leads, evidence so far, and then it ends up overseas. That's why it's important to report these to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. They have the ability to investigate much broader.
So how does law enforcement investigate these type of scams? So say somebody did come to you, say Elgin O.P.P, and said, unfortunately, I just found out my grandmother lost $75,000. What steps, like, take us through that? How does an investigation like that get going?
So it starts with the victim or contacting us and providing with the details. An officer will collect all the information that they have that they have available to them. So they'll collect how they were contacted, what numbers they were contacted from, emails, whatever form of contact, the amount of money that's gone from what institution, how it was transferred. So they'll collect all of those details that they can, and then they'll follow the evidence as far as they can. So, and using whatever means are available to them. So whether that's writing production orders, whatever search warrants, whatever the case is, depending on the fraud. There are frauds that happen on a more local level, say something like through Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji or any other fraud, door-to-door salesman, things like that. And obviously, the more localized it is, the more successful those investigations tend to be. But essentially, in any fraud investigation, we'll collect all the evidence that we can, we'll follow it as far as we can, and if it leads to charges, then obviously those charges will be laid. And then, but often, with there being such a prevalency of these occurrences being initiated from any location, given how technology has connected us globally, sometimes there's the fraudster or scammer ends up being in a location that's too far away for us to take any further legal action.
Scammers in another country. The report has been made here. You do your investigation. You find out it's in some European country. Now you can then talk to the law enforcement agencies in that country. Do you corroborate, back and forwards? How does that work when
the
you're
RCMP would
the RCMP?
do that, yeah.
Okay, so then you guys would bring them in or send the case over to them, and then it goes off internationally.
Yeah, and basically the deal is the more further away the money gets and the in-depth the investigation then it'll go up further in the change. It'll vary a little bit between our services, but say in Elgin County, if the road officer would collect that initial data, if it was a benchmark fraud that was either interjurisdictional or a sum of money that is very large, would go to our crime unit, and then it just kind of gets passed further up the chain and may end up roping in the RCMP.
Plus, we also got to remember too that even if we're only talking a few $1,000s, say up to $100,000, but that's pennies in a bucket compared to we're talking billions of dollars, right? That are being scammed.
Yeah, and those sum of money are can make a huge difference to the individual, obviously. So no sum of money is too small when you've been defrauded out of your money. But at the same time, as far as the amount of money that is being lost in frauds and scams is astronomical.
Yeah.
And as you touched on earlier, it's the percentage has probably changed and will never be entirely accurate because it's estimated that as little as 5% of all frauds are reported. So the numbers that you do see. As big as they are probably just the tip of the iceberg. And a lot of that is, again, as you touched on, because people are embarrassed to share that information, potentially, or, because almost everyone that I've taken a report from says something to the effect of that they feel so foolish because now looking back, they can see all the red flags along the way. But it's important that you do reach out for help if you become a victim of a scam. Because not only the monetary loss, which can be detrimental, that also plays a big toll on your personal life as well. I mean, it can affect relationships, obviously your mental health and the stresses. So not only for the investigative side, but you want to reach out to family members, friends, police, any kind of professional help that you may need to just kind of cope with the stresses that come along with that as well.
I could see major health issues coming from something like this, from stress, not just the embarrassment or any of this, but the worry, what happens, that could translate into health issues, especially for elderly people. It could be life-threatening, really, and why it's so important to keep your eyes open for your, loved ones.
And unfortunately, frauds can happen to anyone. So it's not just seniors. It's not just any one targeted group. It's anybody can become a victim of this because they play on those emotions, the same things that affect us all as human beings. So anyone can be a victim of the scam, and it's just it's important that you report it not only for yourself, but also that's how we gain those trends, the knowledge. We can disseminate the information out there. So never feel foolish for if you are a victim or were able to stop a fraud in the sense that you didn't fall victim to it. There's no issue with getting the information out because you may be protecting someone else and their money.
So as a family member, you get your family together. How do you protect your loved ones then? What should you be doing as a family unit to watch out for them and protect them? So what's some of the steps that maybe a family should do?
Stay up to date on current frauds and scams. You can gather that information from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre website. We have a social media platform using Facebook and Instagram that we post information on. Staying up to date on those things and then educating your loved ones that might not have social media platforms that they can check or watch these types of podcasts and stuff like that. The loved ones can watch this and share this information with them. It's the biggest way that we can protect our loved ones.
I know on my mother's side, no matter if we were to talk to her right now, within probably 4 or 5 minutes, it's gone. She has no memory of dementia. But my brother retired and he lives with her. She's still in her own home. She's just a little powerhouse, little old English lady and still going. But no matter how much we would talk to her, it wouldn't matter. She'd know in that second, but then it'd be gone. So she'd be just as vulnerable. So I guess it's more trying to get her to hang up. It would be just more trying to, I guess, listen in on her conversations, really.
In that case, using like some sort of filter system on the phone to weed out those types of phone calls. There are some services, I don't know which service it is, provider, that does offer a screening process, and basically it has the person identify themselves and where they're calling from before the call will even go through.
Oh, really? I never heard that.
It's brand new. I've run into it myself when contacting members of the community for our new CamSafe program. But yeah, there is services that are up and coming to help protect people with regards to stopping the initial phone call.
That's a pretty cool idea. Yeah, I never knew that.
Private numbers, stuff like that. That's how you can protect those that aren't able to.
So really anyone just contact your service provider and ask them if you could get something like that, or if they have it. That's a cool idea. Yeah, you could, another step anyway to help reduce the risks of them being scammed. So what would be then, I guess, a senior, as a family trying to talk to mom or dad or grandparents and saying, what tips could we give them to kind of keep the flags coming up if they keywords or key something? I guess we kind of touched on it with the urgency and things like that. Would that be where we really need to concentrate on if somebody's calling? Because there's so many variations of scams. So from Canada Post to Revenue Canada to, whatever, gift cards. And what would be the number one thing we could tell our seniors? Keep an eye out for this. If somebody says, don't worry about, this is your grandson, or this is, I've been arrested, whatever, but urgency, would that be kind of the main thing? Don't talk to somebody?
Yeah, I would say, obviously prevention is going to be our biggest ally in this, knowledge, educating yourself on it. But as far as key things to look out, urgency would be one thing to look for. Isolation is a huge component as well. And Tammy kind of touched on it as well. If someone's telling you, they're presenting you with a piece of information and they're telling you, don't tell anyone about this because this is the circumstance, or stay on the phone with me, keep the phone in your pocket while you're trying to buy that gift card. Don't tell the person, Tammy mentioned, they're giving you an excuse, a lie that doesn't marry up with why you're trying to get that money, whatever the reason is. So isolation is a big thing for that. Unsolicited communication is a huge thing. If you don't initiate that call, text message, whatever you're being presented with, those are some big red flags that I would say. That urgency piece, unsolicited initial conversation, and then that isolation piece where it's like, don't tell your family about this, don't tell the police about this. Those kind of things, there's a reason why they're trying to keep you from it, because often, and especially in say like a romance scam, whether playing on your desire to be with some or befriend an individual, romance doesn't necessarily only mean a relationship. It's because we've all had friends where you can tell that a relationship isn't good or the communication is not great between them, and you on the outside can say you guys aren't a good match, And that's why they're trying to isolate you, right? They're trying to make it, because if you were like, hey, I got this opportunity to invest in Bitcoin for this much, and whoever told me I'm going to become the next millionaire, somebody else listening to that is going to be like, that's probably a scam. And that's why they're trying to isolate you, right? So those are the isolation.
When it comes to dating scams, I will admit I know somebody personally that went through that, Korea, and started. It was all over internet and pictures. And I remember telling him a few times, that, dude, do you really think this is who you're talking to? Like, really? And he's like, oh, yeah, no, we've chatted for a year. And anyway, he lost over $30,000.
The romance scams, they're popular, and they go on for a long period of time. It's not just a short phone call or a text message or an email or anything like that. They're going to build a relationship with you for a long time. And there's always going to be an excuse as to why they can't meet you, why they can't communicate with you via FaceTime or some sort of video chat. Then they're going to start saying things like, I got locked out of my bank account, I need some money, or I need money for a plane ticket. Yeah, I'll come and meet you. Can you send me money for a plane ticket? Or I'm having some issues with my passport. They might even get you roped into some sort of investment scam, and that's where that cryptocurrency comes into play, where you're then filtering. They're going to put money in your account, and then you're going to go and put that into another account in Bitcoin. So those are very popular right now.
Okay, so we only have a couple of minutes left, but what I wanted to touch on, the scams happened. Mm-hmm. Can you get money back, or is it gone?
That's up to the financial institution and the method that you were scammed, right? If you're buying gift cards as a payment to some sort of scam, and they're asking you to scratch the number off the back, that money is gone.
That's gone. That is not. Yeah. Okay.
With regards to things going directly in and out of your bank account, that's going to be up to each financial institution individually. With regards to an investigation and an outcome or an arrest or something like that, there's very little money ever returned in that way.
So most times it's safe to say that if you're scammed, it's gone. It's going to be almost impossible to get it back.
In most cases.
In most cases.
Yeah.
Now, I have heard on the bank side, if you release your PIN number, they're going to say, well, you authorized it, you gave them the PIN, whatever. I guess credit card scams, is that another big one? Do people, I know at one time credit card scams seemed to be a pretty big thing, but.
There's so many different scams.
I know, that's right,
there's
right?
So many that aren't reported to the police that we're aware of that just go through the financial.
Well, like you said, 5%.
Yeah.
That's pretty bloody scary to think of how many people actually are getting scammed and won't say anything. Yeah.
I think obviously time is limited, but some of the most important ways that people can protect themselves and reduce their risk is not answering your phone if you don't recognize the number. Don't provide any personal information. Don't provide your address. Do not provide your SIN number. Do not provide your account information. Don't provide family information, your kids' names, your grandkids' names, stuff like that.
Good point.
And Brett, you had mentioned something to me about Take 5.
Yeah, there's the United Kingdom started a program or an education program called Take 5, and essentially what it is about take 5 minutes is the theme, and you want to stop, challenge, and protect yourself. So, when you're presented with something that could be a scam, or you're thinking like this situation is unsolicited, you want to stop, slow things down, challenge the information that you're being presented with. So those are asking more questions than information that you're giving up to verify. Because you will be. Some people are contacted with like say your credit card. It's not uncommon for a credit card to say, hey, there's been a transaction that is, doesn't seem legitimate. Were you out of country at this time? Are you away on vacation? And then maybe you are, and you can verify the details for that. But when you're contacted, you want to challenge the information and give up as little as you can, and then that's going to ultimately protect yourself.
I have had that, where my own bank did contact me and said, because that one day I was just on a shopping spree, and some of them were some pretty high ticket items, and they actually did call me within probably half an hour of my last transaction, said, hey, we just want to let you know, did you make these purchases? And I thanked them. I said, that was pretty cool, thanks. That's the first time I've ever had been called.
Right. And so
Like
that would be a perfect example of an unsolicited call that, you know, you didn't provide a lot of information.
No.
They actually gave you details where it's like, hey, we just had 5 charges of these sum of money in this area. Was that you? And if it is you, then it's easily verified. Yep, that's me. And the conversation ends there. They're not looking for any money. They're just trying to verify on their end.
Yeah.
Now, if that conversation were to happen, because sometimes a scammer will try to use the same template, but then say you didn't make those charges, you're not on vacation. Now they're going to start trying to glean information from you. And that's where you're going to want to stop. And then what you would do is, if it's MasterCard calling, you'd be like, okay, thanks for the information. I'm going to call MasterCard back. And when you call the 1-800 number or 1-888 number, whatever the case is on the back of the card, they'll either look at it and say, no, that wasn't the case, or yes, one of our agents was trying to contact you. And now that you know you're talking to MasterCard because you found the number and looked it up and called it yourself, now you can start addressing that issue and
Very good.
stop to it.
Very good. Anything else? Do you guys have any other pointers? Anything? I guess the main thing is just keep drilling it into your loved ones. Keep repeating it. Keep talking about it.
I was going to say, along with the Take 5 program in the United Kingdom, they also have a Tell 2 program. And the Tell 2 is they're asking everybody that, say, is viewing this podcast, for example, to tell 2 people about anything that you learned from it today, right? So then that way we spread the information of the scams that are going on, ways to prevent things. Education is going to be and prevention is going to be our biggest tool for fighting fraud. Because as we mentioned, it's very difficult to get money back once it's gone.
Yeah.
It's rare for that to happen in many cases. So focus on the prevention side, slow things down, challenge the information that you're giving, like ask more questions than the information that people are being provided with, and then hopefully we can prevent that from going.
Best websites for people to go to.
Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre website and the Ontario government website both have detailed descriptions of all the current frauds and scams going on right now, and the types of questions and stuff like that they're trying to get from you.
Local police, O.P.P, do you guys have something on your own site about scams?
Anybody can call me if they're looking for information as the resource or the community mobilization officer, St. Thomas, and they can reach out to Brett as well. I think the biggest thing that I can say is if it feels wrong, don't do it. Reach out. Contact us, contact a family member, contact someone, ask their advice. You can stop there. And if you can recognize a scam, you can stop the scam.
And contact anyone you trust, right? I mean, like if you have a loved one that you can ask questions about, they'll probably be able to help you get in a direction. You can contact your local police, as Tammy mentioned. Your local bank that you go to, they'll have information on fraud. MasterCard, Visa. All fraud's so prevalent, and everyone wants to keep their money where it's supposed to be in the hands of their clients. You can get some great information from somewhere. And seek out fraud presentations, or if you're part of a community group, a local church, whatever the case is, when you reach out to those community resource officers in your community, we'll be more than happy. If you give us an audience, we will provide that audience with this information and some other things that are up and coming.
So if in doubt, don't be embarrassed. Don't shy away. Make the call.
Yeah,
right?
100%. Like we said, that small amount that is reported, you are not alone, and anyone can be a victim of fraud. And it's important that we get as much information about the ongoing scams as possible, so we can help prevent another victim. Hopefully,
I guess the most I've ever heard is just people. I don't want to look like a fool. I don't want to be an idiot. How could I be so dumb? And you are not going to be looking at that person like, how could you do that? How could you fall for that? That's we want to make sure that they understand they're not going to be,
100%. Our officers and the officers in all the communities across Ontario, whichever service they're with, are presented with these terrible situations every day. We know that it's not that one individual is a fool. The reality is that scammers, unfortunately, are very good at what they do. They present, they're going to be very convincing. And as Tammy mentioned, some of these scams don't go on for a 5-minute phone call. It can be years before they start kind of tapping you for money in those relationship scams. Wow. So you can imagine in a year of communication, you'll build up some level of trust with someone.
Oh, absolutely.
And they start small, and then the astronomical numbers that you see are rarely in one transaction. It's more that it's that water drip, and as they gain confidence, and sometimes money goes in and money goes out into that account, because they are, unbeknownst to them, laundering some money from another victim. So that establishes more legitimacy for the person that's there. And then after a while, the switch turns and then their money gets drained. And then that's when they report it.
So devastating.
It's more likely for someone who's been a victim of a fraud or a scam to become a second and third and fourth. Like it'll keep happening.
Wow.
Those people will know that individual has fallen for it before and try multiple times.
Is there like a scamming blacklist somewhere, like on the market, that they know who's an actual good target?
Well, I mean, I don't know for certain because I'm not a scamster myself, or fraudster myself. But at the same time, it's like anything, right? They're going to share information.
Yeah.
Some of these are, can be call centers somewhere, right? So as Tammy mentioned, if you've fallen victim to a small sum of money, then they'll put your number and they'll.
And those are centers that can close down today, and they were back up running by tonight.
They also sell your information. If you fall victim, they will sell your information to another like organized call center that is going to make you a target for another.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just individuals. It's also businesses that are falling victim to scams. And I was just talking to someone last week when I was putting up my gift card scam information, and it was a fake fire department call saying that they were behind on their dues and they were going to schedule an inspection for tomorrow unless they forwarded money or Bitcoin or gift cards, stuff like that. So it's not just individuals, it's also with businesses.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Let's get this information out. Hopefully we get everybody sharing it. Get everybody talking, get to the websites. I'm sure, call you.
Yeah.
Have any questions?
Yeah.
Give you guys a call.
Also watch our Instagram and our Facebook. Our media, corporate media person is constantly putting stuff out there. Brett is the media person, so he's putting stuff out there. But Samantha for our service does a wonderful job.
It's so cool, and that you guys are out there in the community doing this. So anybody, anywhere in the country that's watching this, call your local police services, and they'll direct you in whichever way, to the correct resource officer, whoever's in charge of this. So, okay, that's it. Thank you. I think we covered a lot, and I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time coming in, and hopefully we can save somebody. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Hopefully you got some information out of this. Call your local police services if you have any other questions. If you're not in this wonderful area, and if you are, well, talk to Tammy or give Brett a call if you're out in the county. I'm sure he'd like to have a chat with you on a good way, on a good term. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. Here's a recap of the important points discussed in the video podcast about scams, featuring St. Thomas City Police Constable Voth and Elgin O.P.P. Constable Fair. Targeting seniors. The podcast highlighted the various scams that specifically prey on our beloved seniors. These scams can range from identity theft to phishing emails, renovation scams, lottery scams, and even grandparent scams. Keeping our seniors safe. To protect our seniors, family members should be vigilant, and here are some key steps. Education. Educate seniors about common scams and how they operate. Awareness is the first line of defense. Communication. Regularly check in with seniors. Encourage open communication about any suspicious calls, emails, or requests that they may have received. Spotting scams. Teach seniors to recognize red flags. For example, unexpected requests for money, urgent messages, or unsolicited offers are often a sign of scams. Financial security. Help seniors safeguard their finances. Ensure they don't share personal information or send money to unknown individuals. Reporting. If a senior falls victim to a scam, encourage them to report it. The police won't judge. They want to know and take action. Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre statistics. Reports processed. As of December 31st, 2023, a staggering 62,365 reports related to fraud have been processed. Victims of fraud. 41,111 individuals have been victimized by scams. Losses to fraud. A total of $554 million have been lost due to fraudulent activities. Impact on seniors. Falling victim to scams can be devastating for seniors and their families. Many seniors have worked hard their entire lives to accumulate savings, and losing it to scammers is absolutely heartbreaking. Remember, spotting a scam is crucial in preventing it. Whether it's a large or small amount, don't hesitate to make that call to the police. They are there to help, and reporting scams contributes to safeguarding our communities.